Hey guys, this is Maria. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be discussing a pretty complex topic is Montessori's view on a term strong-willed child. The way I structured this video is I'm going to go through facts and in the Montessori view about the term strong-willed child and all of the terms that go along with it. Also, in the middle of it, I'm going to talk about all of the ideas and suggestions that I personally received from Montessori teachers parenting my two kids, and by the end of it, just some real life examples that I've found helpful for myself. If you're new to my channel, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old boy and girl, and I'm also expecting my third child right now. So I've been kind of refreshing all of my ideas on the younger children and how to parent them and all other ideas in Montessori. And I came across this really interesting topic of strong-willed child. So from a Montessori perspective, the term strong-willed child isn't correct. Because when we as adults say that somebody has a strong will, we imply that you have a will to give up coffee for a month. You have a will to push yourself and run a marathon. So you go against your own desires and emotions and push yourself to achieve certain things. When we apply the term strong-willed child, it typically is applied towards a child that actually has lack of control of their emotions and cannot handle the situations appropriately. So from a Montessori perspective, the term strong-willed child is not applied correctly because the children aren't capable of exercising their will yet. They need to develop their will, they need to learn how to do it, and there's multiple ways that Montessori teachers, Montessori parents, and the approach itself guide you through it. So generally speaking, the term strong-willed actually pops up around about the age of 2, when there's a lot of developmental things happen for your child that you need to be mindful of. About the age of 2, or like 18 months to 2, is when your child starts realizing their self, that they are separate from you, who they are, and at the same time they start using the pronoun I want, and then they also start using the word no. Toddlers have a need for saying no. It's developmentally appropriate for them up until the age of 3. So when they are exercising their ability to say no, they're trying to define the space of who they are. Another big part of a Montessori approach is the term freedom within limits. And I'm going to break it down for you because a lot of the times I feel like it's getting misused or the concept is not fully understood. So children, young children need freedom in learning. So you create the environment that inspires them to gravitate to different objects and learn about them. But freedom within limits is they also need those limits that you as an adult set up to keep them safe, to keep them respectful of the environment. There are 2 very important parts in the Montessori curriculum and in the Montessori approach is care of others and care of the environment. And both of those teach you respect towards other people around you, other creatures around you, and also the environment that you are interacting with. Montessori approach also is largely focused on teaching your children the cause and effect of things. If you noticed, a lot of the materials, even for younger children, are made out of glass. There is a specific reason for it, because if you're not careful in handling glass, you have an absolute effect of it breaking right in front of your eyes. So instead of teaching your child by saying, no, you cannot do it, you teach them through and lead them through with examples and teach them the responsibility for their actions. Limits that you set up in the classroom or at home need to be consistent, and consistency is key to dealing with younger children. I would say even my preschoolers thrive on a consistency. And if you set up a limit or a rule at the house, you need to follow through. All right, I'm gonna pop in a little example here where I feel like it was really successfully employed in our household. So my children had always access to Play-Doh, paints, everything that's always been out there. The way the presentation looks has changed as they have grown, but I had always one rule that I followed through 100% of the time. If I saw the child taking the Play-Doh, I always guided them to the table. If the Play-Doh moved anywhere else except the table, the Play-Doh would go away. At the age of 15 months, it looked at me, okay, I'm sorry, you have to sit down and play with the Play-Doh at this table. As they got older, I'm like, you know the rule. If you stand up with this Play-Doh, it will have to go away. And then eventually I didn't have to say that anymore. The Play-Doh has always been at the table. And speaking, Montessori always works on creating intrinsic motivation within children, whether it is to foster the love of learning or to show respect and appreciation of the boundaries around them. It is always done in a way that the child does not see it, but the limits are there. I will give you an example. Out of all the preschools that I've ever toured, you would think that Montessori ones, because it is not structured, would be one of the louder, rowdier ones. It is the most peaceful classrooms at the toddler and preschool level that you've ever experienced personally. There is no running around and snatching toys. Everybody is working at their level, at their station, sometimes in groups, sometimes by themselves. But it's designed in a way that there is a flow to the process, and it's done prior to the kids even getting there. So Montessori approach, even in parenting, you have to put a lot of forethought into what you're doing and fix not the situations at hand, but foresee the result in the future. Now that I relayed you the theoretical part, let's talk about how does it really look in real life situations and what does it mean for you and for your children. Well, one thing I want to start with is that if you ever listen to any kind of TED Talks or read the blogs and research, one of the most important things for the children in the 21st century to learn is the self-control. Self-control is discipline, and it is not the discipline coming from you, it's internal self-discipline, and it's also the ability to control their emotions. Let's go back to toddlers and the preschool age kids. So up until the age of 3, your child's prefrontal cortex is not developed. They're developing it, and prefrontal cortex is something that is guiding our judgment, and it's not fully developed up until the age of 24. So we have a long time to work on it. But this age between 2 and 3, where the emotions pick up, the self-affirmation picks up, as a toddlers, you need to let your children experience the feelings, learn about those feelings, and learn how to control. So what does it all mean in the real life situations? Well, you need to be very aware who you're dealing with. That goes along when you work with toddlers and preschoolers with everything. I talk about in my homeschool videos too. So you need to understand that your child has basic needs. Kids have a need for movement. So if your child has been stuck at home, dragging him to the store and then expecting him to sit down and listen or just be, very compliant is unrealistic. So you need to make sure that if you are planning to be out and about with your kid, give them opportunity to run out their energy. Then make sure that they are full, they aren't sleepy, they aren't tired. So just make sure that their basic needs are met. And if you are having a day where you already feel it is coming on, well, maybe it's not a good day to go out in the restaurant and eat. Maybe it's not a good day to go out to Target and shop. And another thing, if you are already in that situation, I will tell you an example from my personal life. We didn't have Justin yet. I think we were pregnant with him, and Scarlett was about 18 months. And we went out to the restaurant with our friends, and they had, I think, 3-year-old and maybe like 6 months old at the time. And one of their kids started fussing during eating, and they were like, wait, you know what's going to happen? We will have to pick up and leave. And that's okay. If that's what you want to do, we will box our food and leave. And it kind of dawned on me, well, yes, we can leave. And I will teach my child so much more by doing that than making them either sit or putting a phone on the table or trying to distract them and just make the experience work. Well, if it's not working, we'll just stop it. If you're at Target and it's not working out, potential is you don't have to buy those things today. You can come on a different day. You can figure out something, let your husband watch the kid that night and go out and get out that time. So try to watch out for the clues. The tantrums typically don't happen out of nowhere. They happen for a reason. So if you meet your child's needs, then you could eliminate a big potential. Same example kind of goes along with setting the limits and following through with them. Right? If we're at the restaurant, we're here to eat, you're welcome to color, you are welcome to play with your little Legos or wiki sticks that I brought with me, but you are not allowed to run around the whole restaurant, you're not allowed to throw food, and wherever guidelines are there. And if we're not following through these guidelines, well, the result is that we're packing up our food and we're leaving, and we're not going to get to experience it. I will tell you that we've been doing that with the kids, and it's been amazing. The kids do really well at the restaurants, so I'm very happy. And the thing is that what you do to your toddler, you put in the seeds for your preschoolers, you put in your seeds for your a bit older kids that won't be used to constantly being on the technology while they're eating with you. Because at the end of the day, we all want to have a family experience, and them being able to control their bodies and control their emotions in that specific situation is very helpful for the future as well. Another great strategy that I've seen done in the classrooms and when I talk to the teachers is the acknowledgement. Wait, I see you are upset that so-and-so happened, but the rule is, and having the rules, I watched also another video with one of the psychologists, and they talked about that, setting up the rules with children like a house rules. And we don't bite in our household, we don't kick each other, following through the rules, well, the rule is a rule and it's applied. Another great strategy is also giving an outlet for negative emotions for your child, and it could be different things depending on what works for you. In one of the toddler classrooms, they had hands on the wall, and if the child was frustrated or angry, the teacher would say, you're not allowed to hit me, you're not allowed to hit your peers, but you can go and push the wall as hard as you can. We actually got a punch bag at home with the kids. I always said, you're not allowed to hurt yourself or your sister, but you can go punch that punch bag. And we actually are talking about getting like a punching thing just for the kids to exert that emotion. Containing your emotions and suppressing them is not the right thing to do. And that's not what Montessori approach is about. It's about understanding them, releasing them, and controlling them. So learning the ways, the appropriate ways to control them. Remember that you are the adult and you're the one who set up those rules. So by teaching your child, following through those rules and teaching them the control of their emotions, you are setting them up for success in their future. By distracting them and not giving them the opportunity to learn, you take away from their ability to learn how to control in those crucial years. Will is like a muscle. You need to develop it, and developing the will, you have to learn and go through the emotions. Children need to feel being discouraged. They need to have a feeling of failure. They need to have a feeling of success. But the only way they will have those feelings is if we let them feel them and learn and teach them how to respond properly. Now, there are several ways that I find very useful for myself in with our two children. One of them is breathing. There is 2 types of breaths we do. So if we have somebody feeling down, we do the breathing that is really, really fast, and it's actually a Wim Hof breathing method. If you want to research him, my husband Justin is a big fan. So it's basically goes like this. What it does, it brings a lot of oxygen to your brain. Oxygenating your body releases oxytocin and you feel happier. So that's an instant way to switch that kind of environment within yourself, and because everything happens to within yourself. Second breathing method we do when somebody is upset for a reason. And one of the verbiages that we use at home, you being upset about this is your decision, because you cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can control how you respond to it. You cannot control that this person hurt your feelings, but you can control your response to it. And one of the best things, before you make any actions just based on your hurt feelings, take 10 deep breaths in. And we do this. In through your nose, out through your mouth. This is kind of for older children. When you have toddlers, just doing the breathing works great, because their state changes so quick, they don't really hold grudges, and their attention span is so short, they go from one thing to another anyways. So getting them, with toddlers, one of the biggest things is learning to label their emotions so they know what they're experiencing, acknowledge those emotions, then tell them what's going to happen as a consequence. Follow through, set the rules in the household and consistently follow them. It is a learning experience. It won't always be perfect. There will be days that you will find yourself in a very sticky situations, but just always keep in mind that when your child is giving you a hard time, I've read it in a book and I really love that phrase, it's not them giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And when you reframe that in your brain, you kind of like, okay, well, I need to help. And when you come from the place of helping your child, you are in a better position to handle it. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I thought when I came across the whole topic of strong-willed child, it ran really close to home for me. And I felt like I think it is worth sharing out there. Again, the main idea in this video is that when we say strong-willed child, it is not truly strong-willed, because that's the child that doesn't really have the will developed yet. And the children that have more tantrums and have less control of their emotions need more of our help. So if you walk away with anything from this, walk away with that. It is a cry for help. It is a cry for learning, and it's your opportunity to become a better person, parent, and teach your child something very, very important that will be with them for the rest of their lives. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you later.